everybody, welcome to part 3 of our lesson where we will discuss forgery and counterfeiting. So forgery is the act of altering or falsifying any aspect of a document, usually involving a signature, with the intent to deceive, which is important. So for example, if I use a family member's credit card with permission and sign, there's no deception, so that's not really considered forgery. So a lot of different things can be forged, checks, wills, etc. And fraudulence is when a material gain accompanies forgery. So when you get some sort of money or other type of material gain. So when you're forging a signature, you can copy it, simulating the signature. You can trace a signature. And sometimes it's just blind when somebody steals your credit card and just signs your name without even knowing what your signature looks like. Check forgery can happen when you use another person's checks. You alter a check, you get a check for $40 and you change it to $4,000, or creating forged checks from scratch, which was what Frank Abagnale did. And we'll talk about him later. We talked about him a little in the beginning. So forged checks are a big business, lead to about $10 billion in annual losses per year to banks. So ways to prevent check forgery: making the paper chemically sensitive to alterations and changes. Sometimes people try to actually wash checks that have been written on with ink, and the detection systems will change color. And of course, the large font, high resolution, multiple color patterns, and embedded fibers as well. So Frank Abagnale, we will watch a few videos and hear about him talking about his life and also about how to prevent fraud. But he was a master forger and assumed various identities, and now he works with the FBI to catch people who did what he did. So literary forgery has been big business over the years. People have claimed to find works of Shakespeare that were lost, or Howard Hughes's wills, and Howard Hughes was a billionaire, so that was certainly worth a lot of money. And one of the things that's done in order to try to make this look authentic is using paper from that time period if you can get it, or they chemically treat it, and then also making sure that the ink is used. The ink that's used is made from substances that were available at that time. And there have been people that have been caught because they used modern inks instead. And then documents can be altered by obliterating certain writing, and then that can be detected with special microscopic examination or lighting. We can also look at the indentations that were left behind when the obliteration happened, and there's electrostatic detection methods where there's electromagnetic particles will stick to the area that was indented. So Conrad Cujo was a famous forger. He claimed to have found Adolf Hitler's diaries that had been lost in a plane crash. And he received quite a large sum of money, 2.5 million Deutschmarks, which in U.S. money at the time was about $1 million. And then the person that he sold them to, then sold it for quite a tidy sum of money to a magazine. And we'll watch a short video explaining how they figured out it was a forgery. Another method of document analysis is chromatography. These are two examples of black ink, and chromatography, paper chromatography, separates the ink into its component colors, so you can actually see that these were written with two different black inks. Counterfeiting is when you create a false document or item. For example, it's not just money and other documents, fake paintings, pieces of art, fake purses and shoes and watches and other items can be counterfeited. So let's focus on how to tell if money is authentic. When you look at paper money. It's not really paper. There's a raised portrait. There are red and blue fibers. In class, we look at a $10 bill under the stereo microscope, and you could clearly see all the red and blue fibers, and you can see all the detail, including the watermark. The security thread has minute printing that you can really only see with a magnifier or the stereo microscope. Also the holographic shift from copper to green in the lower right corner of the bill as well. The $100 bill that came out in 2013, the new bill, redesigned bill, has so many anti-counterfeiting features. The raised printing that you can feel, the 3D security ribbon and the bill and the inkwell that have holographic color shifts, also the color shifting 100. And the one great feature about this bill is that you can detect a counterfeit bill, or you can determine that this is real in a dimly lit restaurant. It's really easy for people who know what to look for to tell without making it very conspicuous that they're looking. People get offended when they check their bills, but people are doing their job. So how do we detect? One of the main things we see is the counterfeit detection pen. And the counterfeit detection pen is very simple. Paper currency, which is not really paper, it's made of cotton and linen, it's actually fiber. Counterfeit money is made of paper, and so that paper contains starch. The counterfeit detection pen contains iodine, and when we swipe it on real money, it stays yellow, but iodine reacts with the starch in paper, so on counterfeit money, it's going to turn a blue-black color. And the manufacturer's claim is that it is 98% effective in detecting counterfeit money. The 2% falls in the fact that there are certain counterfeiters have taken dollar bills and they've bleached small bills, and they bleach those bills and they actually have the right paper, but they bleach away the printing on the bill, and that printing on the bill changes. They change it to like a $1 bill to a $100 bill, and that can cause the pen detection test to pass, but it's not going to pass other methods of detecting counterfeiting. Counterfeiting detection scanners that you see often during a transaction. Now, these are becoming more commonplace in stores. They work by several different methods depending on the one that you get, and some of them use several methods, but there's ultraviolet light that detects whether the special fibers that glow in UV light are there, magnetic ink detection, detecting the watermark, and also final check is detecting the size of the bill and making sure that the money is the correct size. And what do you do if you get counterfeit money? You're working in a store, you think the money's counterfeit. If you get counterfeit money, what you're supposed to do is contact the police, who will then contact the Secret Service. I suppose you could contact the Secret Service directly, but the Secret Service deals with counterfeit money. Unfortunately, if I have a counterfeit $100 bill, let's say, and I go to a store and I go to pay and they tell me it's counterfeit, that bill can be seized, and I won't necessarily get my $100 back unless I can prove who gave it to me and try to get recourse from them. So make sure your bills are legit. Speaking of that, this is a bill that one of my former students, who's now a cop in Wallington, took a picture of this for me, and they were called to Stop and Shop at some point because somebody passed this bill at Stop and Shop. And clearly this has been taped together from two different bills, or perhaps even three. Maybe there were two $10 bills, and I guess maybe the other part of the $10 bill was able to be used. So I'm not quite sure what the purpose of this was. But in any case, that is it for today. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me or talk to me during class. Thank you. Have a great day.